everybody. So here we go. 3, 2, 1, action!
Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sherwin-Williams Pro Plus Training Business Series. I'm so excited to be here with you and my guests and my co-presenter today. My name is Christine Rich. I am the Res Repaint Marketing Director for Sherwin-Williams. And joining me is my fabulous co-host.
Hi, everybody. My name is Julie Zamsky. I am the Commercial and New Residential Marketing Director at Sherwin-Williams.
So we are really excited because probably the number one topic that we get asked about is social media. It's one of those things that can be a little intimidating, but we are really lucky to be joined by two incredible women who are going to break it down for us and share some of their best tips and tricks. So first, we have Kassity Moore. She is the founder of Ohio City Painting, which is a women-owned, women-led, high-quality interior painting company in Cleveland, Ohio, that specializes in lime wash, and I might also venture to say social media. And then we've got Jordan Simmons, who is the founder of Alista Media. And I'm going to read this so I don't get it wrong because I think it's so cool. Alista Media specializes in helping community-driven change makers amplify their impact online. So welcome, ladies. And if you want to say a quick hello.
Hello, I'm Kassity. This is Jordan.
And I'm Jordan. We're so excited to be here with you all today.
We're great. We're so excited that you're here too. So a couple housekeeping things before we get into the conversation. This portion of the webinar is being pre-recorded because sometimes technology can be a little glitchy. So we're going to have our conversation, our Q&A with Kassity and Jordan, and then we are going to join the live webinar for a live Q&A. So Jordan and Kassity will be with us. You can ask them all of your most important questions. Julie's going to be there, so am I. So Jordan and Kassity, I met the two of you while I was on a Sherwin-Williams call with one of our sales reps. We were on site at a job, and I asked you a question, and I said, you know, part of what we do here at Sherwin-Williams is we want to make pros be more successful and contractors more successful. Is there any tools or resources that you've used from Sherwin-Williams that were helpful to you? And Jordan, I was so excited. Can you share the story of what you did?
I don't even remember this, so I'm so glad that you reminded me. Apparently, I ran to my car and I got the social media for painting contractors guide. And it's something that I'm really impressed by. I've been in the social media industry for about 7 years. And what you did with this guide is you put a lot of things that are just up here in my mind and come natural to a social media professional into a guide. I couldn't believe it. It's like a dream manual, and I highly recommend every person who is launching their business online finds one. How's that?
Perfect. And honestly, I swear she did it like there was no, you just did it off the cuff. I was like, wow, okay, that's exciting. So
sounds like something I would do.
I know, it was something. And I was like, oh, wait, I wasn't sure what you were going to pull out of your car. So I was excited when I saw that. So let's just jump right into some of the questions. Do you want to get started, Julie?
So Jordan and Kassity, when you think about social media, what kind of best practices do you recommend for our viewers and listeners today?
Yeah, I'll get started and then you can add too. So number one best practice is humanize your brand. All of the best marketing companies are doing it. And it's something, it's a word that you should have on your mind. There's humans behind your brand. Who are they? It doesn't mean you have to show up and dance or even show your face. Some people don't like showing their faces. There's other ways to humanize your brand. And I have confidence that you'll find your way. But that's number one, humanize. Show up everywhere. Huge strategy that we use. And, this guide does talk about, it is better to show up on one platform than 10 and neglect, 9. I do agree with that. So when I say show up everywhere, I mean, evaluate your capacity to serve, to show up, and then show up on those places. You want your community to be seeing you. It doesn't mean you have to show up every single day, but you do need to show up everywhere and continually make yourself known. Interact with influencers. I think that's the third that I'll end on, and then we can get deeper later. Interact with micro influencers by DMing them, build relationships with them. The age of competition is so over when it comes to modern day marketing. Partnering is so much better, and we are a perfect example of that. We found local paint companies not wanting to compete with us, but DMing us, sharing us, recommending us, and that's kind of the energy that you want to tune into. You want to interact with people who have like-minded communities who are going to help you grow. So, would you add anything? Because I could go on and on.
I think you nailed it. Yeah, I think you nailed it. Okay,
sweet.
Perfect. I have a quick question. So what we love most about these webinars is it's for contractors who have all levels of experience. But for someone who is maybe new to social media, maybe a little intimidated by it, can you explain what you mean when you say a micro influencer?
Yeah.
And can you talk about what it means to partner with someone? Because I think some folks might not realize what that means. And then maybe like an example of how you, like, what did you actually say when you direct messaged someone and how did you partner?
Good question. So the first way to answer this is just describing what is a micro influencer. A micro influencer is someone that has definitely less than 500,000 followers, probably less than 100,000 followers, and maybe even less than 50,000 followers. It's people who are, they have an engaged community. You want to look for a community that is engaged, meaning people comment on their stuff. They show up somewhat consistently, and also they're aligned with your community. This could be a local cafe, even if you're a painter, because it's a cafe that your customers are going to be hanging out at, right? So the next thing you do is you create shareable content. You don't create me first content. You create content that provides value. Maybe one of the things we do is we highlight local businesses. And so let's say if I were to want to highlight a local business, I would talk about them when I'm there, share a picture of us getting that coffee, tag them, and then hopefully they would share that. That kind of ignites a connection. Then if I want to take it further, I might DM them one day and say, hey, I actually created this piece of content that's really celebrating our local area. Is there any chance you could give it a share? And more times than not, you'd be surprised, they'll share it. And then you'll be like, great, when you have stuff that you want us to share, let us know. That is the simplest way of partnering. And that statement that I just said of exactly what I would DM them, I recommend that you write that down and you copy and paste it anytime you want to ignite a partnership with a local brand. Would you
say it again? Say it again. What was your statement?
Yeah, this is the statement, and I've used the statement for years. It has proven to work. Hey there. Hey there. I'll upgrade it a little bit more. Hey there. I love the content on your page. I feel so aligned with your message, and I created this piece of content that I believe your community would get value from. Is there any way you could share it to your story today?
Great.
Bam.
Simple. All they can say is no.
All they can say is no. And most people will, but some will say yes. And that's the amazing part.
I love the idea of tapping into your community, though, because I think another big piece with social media is authenticity. If you're going to that coffee shop every week and they know you, they're going to probably say yes versus like, do you even shop at my, like, do you even, frequent my coffee shop? Then it's going to feel a little weird. So I think that authenticity piece is big too.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So common mistakes. So it's a common mistake. Maybe I'll ask Kassity this. Before you started working with Jordan in this capacity, what were some maybe common mistakes that you were surprised by or that you made, and maybe advice for how to avoid them?
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that I've learned from Jordan especially is there's nothing bad to record. So she would start recording me opening paint cans and just showing the color, or we just posted taking outlet covers off, right? Things that you don't think of as a painter specifically. You want to show the before and after. You want to show the glorious things. sharing your process and everything you're doing. There is no piece of content that isn't, free game. So I think that's the biggest thing. Making the mistake of not sharing what I'm doing,
And I think people think, well, this is super boring, but it's like people find it interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, I will like jump on that for sure. That was some advice that I got was, hey, all content is good content. Even if you're just drinking a bottle of water, I do some of my own social media for things outside of Sherwin-Williams, and a lot of it is like working out and like doing all these different things. And they're like, listen, like show the struggle, show the just drinking the water bottle in between, sets or in between whatever you're doing, like make sure you record everything. And I think the biggest mistake I had was I was afraid to turn my camera on because I think I was afraid of what people would say, because I'm in a journey, I'm in a process, and I think that a lot of times people are just afraid to turn the camera on.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to be visible.
Yeah.
Right.
There's one more thing I would even add. This is just a quick one. Is it's not a mistake we've made, but I think it's a mistake many people could make, and it's not showing your mistakes. We created a video, a really short, fun video about a huge mistake Kassity made. She painted a wall the color.
Yeah.
And it's people still are going crazy over that video.
Yeah.
So I wanted to share that one on the topic of mistakes.
Yeah, own your mistakes.
And I think it makes you more approachable and more human. It makes your customers and potential customers feel like they know you. And honestly, I think perfection is overrated. I think when people first start getting into social media, they want it to be this, they think it has to be this perfect image or video. And I think the best thing is, like you said, just turn your camera on and start recording and don't get in your head too much, because people want to see the behind the scenes. They want to see the process. And I do love that video of you painting the wall the wrong color. I feel like a thing that you guys do a lot too, which I love watching, it's so relaxing, is you put on your time-lapse video when you do a project. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that's something Jordan has like embedded in my brain. That's actually a part of my process with painting now is, I set up my entire room. Then I go around with my camera and get the right angle and make sure that's following me around the room. But yeah, it's so satisfying. It seems so mundane, but people love just seeing paint go on walls. So, but yeah, I make that a part of my process now.
And I'll add to that. I think mistakes is just on my mind. I think a mistake that we made when time lapsing is trying really hard to get like the whole room in the time, and almost like stressing about it, like
do wall by wall.
How do I get this whole room? Well, when I've looked at the data of what performs best, and it's when we're doing like a 4-foot by 10-foot section, people can watch it easily from start to finish. And that has been the highest engagement piece of content, just, rolling a small section instead of like the whole massive room, because that can seem daunting. And I think it stops a lot of people from doing that because you're like, I'm not going to do this whole room. So what's the point?
There's that whole rule, like 6 seconds. People have that like attention span. It's so short. So it turns out that watching paint dry can be very engaging, apparently.
I have a post that says that.
We have a video of paint drying.
You do? That's so funny.
It's actually
well, you were talking about in your process, and because we have folks on here that probably have never done social media, you were saying, hey, I just want to reiterate, you're getting your camera at the right angle. Like, what does that mean? Is it that smaller space versus the big space? Like, what does that mean?
Yeah, so it really does depend on what you're about to paint. Like Jordan said, sometimes it'll just be a small portion of the wall. But the angle I like to get is that it's my whole body and you see from beginning to end where I'm painting through your screen. So instead of like, I don't want to stop halfway through the wall and let the time lapse stop. You want to show them the whole surface that you're showing. So again, it doesn't matter if it's a whole wall or a section of the wall. You just want to see me go through it. Or see yourself go through it.
Also, I want to point out that I have coached I've coached someone that's like in their mid-20s. This person is a painter, and they did not know how to create a time lapse. So if you're sitting there thinking, I have no idea how to create a time lapse, it's okay. A lot of painters don't. You're just going to open up your camera on your phone and play with the settings until you find a button that says time lapse, and then click it, play with it, and have fun. So
when in doubt, Google it. I think that's one of the things that just about anything can be figured out through Google and YouTube. So a couple things that I've heard in terms of mistakes, especially painting contractors, a couple times I've heard things like, well, I just don't have equipment. And I always say, if you have a smartphone, you have equipment. People shoot videos on iPhone, like movies on iPhones.
Yes.
So use your iPhone, Google, use the social media guide, but honestly, just take your phone out. I love, Kassity, that you said you build it into your process.
Yes.
Because now you're completing a job and building marketing content at the same time. So that's really working smarter, not harder.
Yes.
I've also heard people say, oh, other people have done these like wall painting videos, or, Ohio City Painting's already doing that, so I can't do that. I wanted you to talk a little bit about that, because I think there's this feeling of if someone's already doing that, then I can't. And then I have one other that I want you to address, which is I have no time.
Yeah.
So can you go back to the it's been done before?
Yeah.
I'll start this. I feel like we both have something to say on this.
Good.
I'm going to start this by saying, raw and real, no one does it the way you do it. And that's special. Every single human is different. You're gonna laugh differently. You're gonna create a different caption. You're going to look different. You might be more professional. You might be more casual, and all of those fine details matter. That's how your target community finds you for you, because you did it differently, even if you think you didn't.
And on that, I think copying, and I use air quotes, is a really big thing on social media right now. On TikTok, you have what's the word?
Dance challenges. All the challenges.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So separating your screen and doing it with them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's huge.
Duet.
So don't ever let what someone else is doing stop you from doing the same thing. Again, because Jordan says it's you. You're doing it differently regardless. And there was another piece that you said I forgot to answer. Sorry.
The not having time. But before we move on to that, I would say also remember, folks who are, in your Ohio City Painting audience aren't the same people who's an audience in another state. So they could do the exact same video as you.
Yeah.
And they don't have access to you because they might not know about Ohio City Painting.
Exactly.
So just remember, all the audiences are different, and exactly like each individual will take a different approach. And there is something so satisfying about watching a project and watching painting be done. So, and then the third one I said was people saying, I just don't have time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the whole time piece, that is so true. And I probably butt heads with Jordan on this all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, it might take you a minute, 2 minutes to set up a camera, right? Sometimes those minutes even help me reset, but it really doesn't take much time, kind of set it, forget it kind of aspect. But it is really helpful if you do have a team member to help support you in that. So one thing I was doing whenever I had painters on my team, I always said, hey, get content of whatever you're doing. And I allotted that time in my budgeting as well. But yeah, once you're learning, it's obviously going to take a little bit longer. But once you kind of understand, you can just capture all these moments regardless. It really doesn't take that long.
Yeah, and what I would add too is another mistake I've made. I'm so glad that was like the first question, because it's becoming a theme, and mistakes are so helpful. We learn from them. So a mistake I made is, I also help Kassity paint. So I'm on a job site painting, filming that content, getting those time lapses, and I'm in this mindset that my community needs to see what we're doing now. So I would post to the stories in the moment. And I relieved so much stress, so much pressure. We had such a better communication and workflow when I would film the content and upload it later.
Yeah.
So you don't have to do that. You don't have to do it all on the site. Just collect content as a part of your painting process. We recommend waking up an hour earlier every day just to work on your admin stuff, or posting that content you got the day before, before you get out and start painting. If you can just If you can find 6 hours a week to dedicate to your social media presence, you can make it very far. That's our goal, is 6 hours a week, and it has been for years.
I love
dedicated
that.
to social media.
Yeah. The mornings are really like the quiet time, right? It's before the craziness of the day begins. That's the magic hours.
Another question I had, like while you were talking, as I was thinking about common mistakes, and we were talking about people maybe having that fear of being on camera, are comments. So my question is, how often do you interact with the comments on your postings? And then how do you deal with the negative comments, if any? You may not have any, but, or what advice would you have for someone that has those?
That's a great question. So first and foremost, I have the belief that you should respond to just about every comment that you get. It shows your community that you care. It shows the algorithm that you care. If the algorithm sees that you're posting and you're interacting with people, they will reward you. And you want to do so, you want to respond relatively quickly. Unfortunately, we live in a world where if you're not responding to the comments and the DMs, people's subconscious thinks that you don't care about them. So important to be aware of that. Negative comments is a hard one, and I'm going to be super honest. It's something that only gets better with time. We can sit here and tell you that, the art of not giving a crap all day, but it's hard. And it's something that just comes with practice. 2 years ago, we got a video that went viral on TikTok. It had 160,000 views, and it was simple. It was Kassity painting a house. And the amount of hate that we got on how incorrectly Kassity was painting, it hurt me a little bit. It hurt me a little bit. It didn't hurt her, because she's like, I'm confident in my craft. Right. Now years later, we did recently get a video that went viral again, and on Facebook this time, and the haters came, and Kassity told me that most of these haters they're different types of painters. Yeah. So everyone has their different feel. If they want to be, rude and not kind, that's on them. I only removed the really toxic ones, the name calling, because I don't think they have a right to exist on my feed. But the ones that were just critiquing us, leave them, because what will happen more often than not is your community will come in and they'll kind of rally behind you, and they'll answer comments for you, and that can be a really cool experience. And
so can you talk a little bit about expectations? I think sometimes people think about this type of social media and building content, and there's a difference between paid social media ads and what you can expect with that, and then building your organic content over time and what you can expect with that. Can you talk a little bit about what folks can and should expect, and maybe some wins that you've seen since you've been being consistent about posting and keeping up on your content?
I'll go.
Yeah, go.
So I think just one thing is, if you look at social media, it is trial and error. So a lot of the times, we could sit here and tell you an exact strategy. This is what you need to do. But again, your audience is different, and the algorithm is going to treat you to what, to that. So trial and error, have fun with it, put things out there, see what works and see what doesn't work. And then the expectation piece is, if, like you said, consistency. If you just stay consistent, posting on a regular basis, it doesn't have to be 3 posts a day, all the time. That's overwhelming. Don't overstress yourself with it. But if you stay consistent several times a week, you're going to see those results. If you start reaching out, it's not going to be quick. That whole get rich overnight thing just doesn't exist, right? And you don't want that either, because it can get overwhelming. So I think within even a year of us posting, we started really seeing a lot of feedback. And it really depends how much time and effort you're putting into it. If you post one thing and don't post for another month, it's going to be a lot slower growth. But if you stay consistent with it and just put things out there and see how it works, you can grow pretty steady and pretty fast.
Yeah. It's important to be kind to yourself if you're not seeing business success in the first month or two of posting.
Oh yeah.
It's actually really rare. We started seeing the biggest wins definitely after 90 days of posting, but really in that first year, and now we're in year 3, and it's like we are getting so much love from social media. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's important to know too.
And how has that affected the business? Have you found yourself having more brand awareness and more leads? And at the end of the day, you're in this to provide a living for yourself and your family. So how has that impacted your business? This slow burn.
Yeah. So slow burn. What's so fascinating is I didn't have a huge reputation before I started my business. So really it was social media. That's all we've done. We haven't put a penny into marketing. And almost 95 or more % of my estimates come through Instagram. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
It's I can't say that it's been like a flood of all, like I'm getting tons and tons of business from it. But what I can say is the value of my customers and the value of the jobs I'm getting have enhanced dramatically from showing people who I am and what I do. I'm getting the clients that want me. I'm selling myself before I show up to an estimate because they see in the window of Ohio City Painting. So in that case, my success rate on estimates is so much higher now that I'm, really present on social media rather than just like getting leads and just painting houses because someone just needs a painter, right? People are choosing me to paint, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. I love that.
Yeah.
So, last question. Before we tell people where they can find you and then we get back to the live Q&A.
Cool.
So what do you think people can start doing right now this week after watching this webinar to help increase their presence in your mind?
Yeah, I can start there. Well, first of all, what I cannot tell you in a matter of 2 minutes is actually how to start your business pages. So definitely refer to this guide for that. I mean, they give you the basics for that. So you're set up there.
And we'll link that in the chat too.
Perfect.
For folks.
Yeah. So once you have the page, focus on your profile and your plan first. It's okay if the first thing you do this week is actually not post content. They say you have about 7 seconds for someone to land on your profile and then hit follow. So you have about 7 seconds there, right? So what are you going to do? Your profile is your prime real estate. It's your business card. Make sure you hop in there. You tell people who you are, who you help, how you help them, and how they can take action. From that place, decide one way to post your stories. Could be as simple as your morning paint outfit check. It could be a morning coffee with Cass. Here's what's on my mind. Here's our plan for the day. Choose something simple and do it. Commit to it. Choose something for your feed. Maybe it's 3 time lapses a week since you already know how to do time lapses, and call it a day. Stop there, do that for 90 days before you start layering on more things and all of that good stuff.
Super great advice. Really appreciate you all joining us. And I think it's time for us to hop over to the live Q&A so we can continue the conversation.
Okay, everyone. Kassity and Jordan, if you want to turn your cameras on. There you are. Hey, how you doing?
Hello.
Good. How are you?
I'm great. It's great to see you both again.
You as well.
Thanks. So for those of you who are new to the Sherwin-Williams Pro Plus training webinars, we just had a great conversation with Kassity and Jordan from Ohio City Painting. Yes, we're recording this entire presentation and it will be on the Sherwin-Williams YouTube channel in a day or two afterwards. But right now, we have the opportunity, Jordan and Kassity are with us, to answer any and all of your social media questions. So if you're new to Teams, if you look across the top of your screen, there's a little icon that says chat, and you can start putting your questions in the chat and we will get to them. So I don't think we have any in here now, but as I was rewatching our conversation, some things popped into my mind. So By the way, I'm Christine again. Nice to meet everyone. You guys talked a lot about not having to spend money on advertising, which I think there's like a lot of different camps about that. Some people say you have to do it, you absolutely have to do it, but you guys have found a way to not necessarily need to. So at what point do you think you'll get to when you feel like, yeah, we're going to start putting a little bit of money behind our posts, or do you boost any of your organic posts at all? And can you let our folks at home know what that means?
Do you want me to go?
Go for it.
Okay. So I've been like the sole, runner of my business. And I think I've always just kind of let Jordan take the lead on this organic growth, mainly because I'm a small business. I don't have so much capital to just throw into advertising. And what we've been doing on Instagram has been working tremendously. I haven't needed to put anything into marketing. I don't even have business cards.
Oh, Kassity.
Yeah, I know. So here we are. And we just went through a rebrand. That's like the only amount of, exchange we've put into the company is really just the brand itself. But what I will put, ads behind and things like that is I'm actually going to be starting like a training program and kind of growing my business with Ohio City Painting rather than like expanding internally. I'm going to be expanding in the painting or the training aspect. So I might be putting my ads behind stuff at that point because I want to reach a larger audience. We're just in Cleveland. I have a very small, radius of who I go to. So that organic growth is actually really perfect for that.
Yeah.
So we're starting to get some more questions in the chat. I will start with Sue said, which platforms do you find most effective and or user friendly?
Go ahead.
Instagram, hands down. I mean, I'm fully convinced that Instagram is just the best tool for small businesses. TikTok is great if you just want to grow quickly. You can grow pretty much the fastest on TikTok in terms of an audience, but in terms of tools that will help your business, you can get a booking button, a book now, right on your profile on Instagram. You can post all these polls and quizzes to get to know your community and really, really narrow in on that connection that you have. I would say Instagram, and also in terms of user friendliness, I would say Instagram is good for that as well.
Yeah. I have one thing to say is also pay attention to your demographic.
Yeah.
I know there's like a little bit an older generation on Facebook maybe, and maybe the millennials are hanging out on Instagram a little bit more, but just kind of take a look at where your demographic is and where they're spending their time too.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. You always want to be where your customers are. You'll have a lot more success.
Yeah.
So Painted Perfect by Angela asks, well, she says, hi, ladies. How important is it to allow reviews on your social pages? Right now, I have it off. Thanks.
Can you repeat that question, Christine?
Yeah, she said, how important is it to allow reviews on your social pages? Right now, she has hers turned off.
Reviews? I don't think we've used them.
Oh, reviews. I was hearing views. Thank you.
Reviews, sorry.
That's a really good question. I haven't sat with that question too much.
Yeah.
I have them on.
We don't get many.
We don't get a ton. Yeah. We probably should collect more reviews, but I will say, we
have a webinar on that too.
Good. Reviews I don't know your reasoning for turning them off. Maybe it's fear because there are trolls that can just say awful things that are not true. I know that does make us a little nervous expanding and, being seen on Google. But I would say turn them on. Is this helpful? I hope this is helpful, Angela. Yeah, it's just not something maybe I'm the best person to answer, unfortunately.
I can tell you I've done a lot of research here in my current role at Sherwin-Williams and other jobs, and ratings and reviews are one of the best ways to get customers. That's the first thing people go to when they're looking for, especially a service organization, someone that's going to be coming into their home. So I'd say be brave and turn them on. You can always turn them back off, but yeah, I think it's rating and reviews are huge. So okay, let's see, who else do we have? Corey Duke says, once I create my business social platform, what is the best way to go about getting followers and views?
I can answer that question. Just get out there and put yourself out there, create content, maybe try to post 3 times a week so that you're not overwhelming yourself, and just keep up with it. It's going to organically grow your following the more you show up. That's the best way.
I think also tell your friends and family, every time you have an interaction with someone, say, hey, follow me, on my page. I think it's important to get your customers watching you and just get the word out also on the streets, rather than just expecting the algorithm to take care of you.
I also found that if you tag you talked about partners in the community. If you tag other local businesses, if you sometimes hashtags even local Cleveland or Cleve, whatever, you'll be surprised. You'll start getting little bits here and there, but there really is no one magic thing that just brings all of the views and all of the followers. So you have to work it a couple of different ways, I have found.
Yes. Yeah. And you know what? I can think of one more thing, Corey, is that one thing we really prioritize is showing up on the comment feeds of other local businesses. So take that influencer, approach that I showed you in the recording a step further by leaving comments on your favorite cafe. Just building a connection with them, it helps them to see you. It helps their community to see you. And they might really need a painter and be super excited you left that comment.
Yeah, engaging with other businesses and other people's handles is really important too. You'll get a lot. Again, take it a little bit from each place. Okay, so we have Khalil says, hello, thanks for the great information. Is it better to schedule posts to an admin?
I think I understand the question.
Right. Maybe we'll see if we get it.
Yeah. Thank you for your question, Khalil. I'm just going to assume that you mean just scheduling in general from maybe Meta Business Suite or something like that. Let us know in the comments if that's not what you were asking. But I have the weird approach or the weird belief that you should not schedule anything and then you should post everything manually. This is not a popular opinion in the social media marketing space. Christine, you probably totally know. Yeah, it can feel really daunting and maybe not efficient to not schedule. But the reason I'm a huge fan of manually posting is because number one, it gets you in the platform. You're showing the algorithm that you're in it. You're using Instagram. Brownie points number one from the algorithm. They want people to be using their platform in order to reward them. Number two, you almost always will have more tools to use if you're uploading it manually. You can select from their music library, you might have more location settings, so you'll have more things to play with when you're creating the content. And then number three, you're in there, you can interact with people, you can go back and look at your old content, make sure this new piece of content is going to meet the flow. I don't want to go into too much detail. I think I answered your question.
Yeah. So Carrie asked a question that we did already answer, asked if you will have a favorite social media platform and why. And I think you had mentioned Instagram. It's user-friendly. It has the most bells and whistles. So we did answer that question, but wanted to let Carrie know that. Michael says you ladies rock. Adrian says, hi, thanks for the great information. I was wondering, what was your very first post? Just wondering where you start trying to capture the attention of prospective customers.
Yeah, I think I remember our first post, and it might have just been either a time lapse or, like a wide shot video of, I think we were actually staining, but it was in the action. I don't think we posted a before and after first, but I think we got right into the action, of showing what I do with Ohio City painting. But yeah, I mean, you can really start anywhere. Yeah. You can start by introducing yourself if you want to.
Yeah, I wouldn't stress about whatever your first post is. If you're overthinking it, then just pause, stop, and just throw something up. No one is going to remember your first post.
As we don't.
As we don't. Like, I can tell that, Jordan, right now you're probably looking and seeing, what was that? I'm like, so one thing I'll say about that, too, is that I would say think about your first 3 posts. So you want to make sure that you're thinking about, like, what do you really want to stand for in your content, right? If yes, start posting, get content out there, but be a little intentional. Maybe you decide, I'm going to do action shots of me painting. I'm always going to do something once a week on education. And then the third thing I'm going to do is a before and after, or intro my team, or just have a personal post about my dog. I don't know. But I think thinking about your first 3 posts, and then kind of getting a sense for like what's doing well. If you only post about your work and about trying to get leads, that will not work.
Yes. Yeah. You nailed it, Christine. Yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. Let's see. Mark asks, can vendors reach out to you for product reviews?
I mean, they can, yes. And then we've actually gotten a couple vendors sending, can we send you this and you review it? I typically turn it down, mainly because I am very focused on quality, and some of the stuff we've gotten has not been quality and or just doesn't make sense with my production. So if you get to that point where you have vendors reaching out to you, that's huge. I think that's awesome. I think you should congratulate yourself for that. But I would really evaluate what the product is and not just do it because, you were given that offer.
Yeah. Yeah, Kassity is referring to a situation where we did receive a product and we had to tell them, I'm sorry, but this is not our standards. We will not be posting a review of this.
And we didn't do a bad review of it either.
Yeah.
We just kind of,
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I think the important thing to note, though, is if you do work with vendors for product reviews, you have to disclose whether you're getting paid or not, if it's sponsored, if it's an ad. So just make sure you check the rules around that, because there are definitely things that you can get dinged for if you don't. Next question is from Jimmy. He says, hi, everyone. Question, how many seconds should a video be on Facebook or Instagram?
That's a great question. I can answer that question.
You know that more.
So I went through just this morning and looked at our highest performing time-lapse content, since we're talking about time lapses, and they were both about 7 seconds long. So, you'll get a 2-hour long time lapse. If you can get that into that 7 seconds, which it probably will naturally, I would say go with that. Couple it with a trending audio, and that's a winner piece of content.
Can you tell people what a trending audio is in case they don't know?
Yeah, good question, Christine. So, trending audio, you'll how do I explain this simply? So when you're scrolling through Instagram Reels, you'll notice that there's a lot of buttons on the bottom. It'll say location, handle, this and that. Somewhere in that mix is the song or the piece of audio that was selected. If you click on that song, it will typically have an up arrow if it's trending, and it won't have an up arrow if it's not trending. So if you can find a piece of audio, once you've clicked on that and it has an up arrow, I recommend, if you like the music, of course, and it feels aligned with your brand, save the audio. It'll be right there in that process. You'll see a button to save audio, and then use it that week. So yeah, user friendliness of Instagram, you'd think I work from them. They put it right in front of you if it's trending or not.
And the great news is there's so many resources online. If you just Google it, you could find it. The great thing about trending audio is it'll probably be shown to more people. Is that correct?
Yes.
Because it is trending. So another good way to get eyeballs and potential followers.
Yeah.
Okay, so 7 seconds it is. We have another question from Carrie. Do you post to multiple platforms or just one?
We post everywhere. I think when we first started out, probably even for the first year, we were really just on Instagram and Facebook. And I don't even think we were on Facebook right away.
Yeah.
But, almost 4 years in now, we have,
7.
Name them, 7. We have 7 social medias that we're on: LinkedIn, Nextdoor, TikTok. I've personally started loving TikTok. We're still very much on Instagram. We're on all of them. So, it just depends, whatever capacity you have, to do it.
I will say something on that note. I don't think it's worth your time as a small business owner, as a painter, to put a whole different strategy on Instagram as you do on TikTok and vice versa. I would just take that same piece of content, get the watermarks off. So don't upload a video that has a TikTok sticker on it to Instagram, if you can figure that out, thanks to Google. But it is worth your time in terms of efficiency to just use the same content on every platform if you can.
I would also say that, pacing yourself. It's better to do one or two platforms really well and give it the love and energy that it needs, and you'll have higher quality. Once you start getting a level of comfort with that, then maybe pull in, a third or a fourth. And I will say, the one piece of advice that I would say that might not work for is LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is much more of a professional platform. And if you're, posting something about your dog, you might not be the right audience for LinkedIn. So think about who your audience is on these platforms. So LinkedIn would be the only one I would maybe caution that on. Taylor was our amazing social media expert at Sherwin-Williams. She just posted the readings and review webinars. So whoever asked that question, if you look in the chat, there's a link right to that content, which is great. So we have, how do you deal with spam you receive on Instagram?
Ignore it.
There's so many different approaches. So what I don't do is delete them. If anything, I know what I don't do is delete them. If anything, I'll hide them. Like, you can tap hide instead of delete, so it still boosts the algorithm. I've seen a lot of people use a real witty strategy where, they'll get 10 spam comments, and to each spam they'll say, no, thank you, but thank you for helping me win the algorithm, or, so they'll actually engage with the spam. In terms of spam that you're getting in your inbox, delete those every time. It's just too risky. If you click on one of those links, it could open yourself up to being hacked. So don't play with the spam that you're getting in your DM. That's my answer there.
Let's see. You schedule in general ahead of time so you don't have to post daily. We talked about that already, scheduling. You're answering great questions. Someone says, this is Shelly Moore. She said, have you found that your audience or platforms seem to respond to a specific type of content? Education, bloopers, before and afters, etc.
That's my mom. Hi, Mom.
Oh, hi, Mom. Love that she's supporting.
I know. So honestly, the content that does the best is honestly when people see my face. I think it's just that trust piece that, you're seeing a window into the company itself. I think that across the board is always going to do a lot better when people hear me and see me doing anything. Besides that, those quick little time lapses, or just like we had a piece of content go viral that I was just brushing the edge of a door jamb, and it was 3 seconds long. It was enjoyable. There was good colors, but I think that humanness piece, that is usually what does the most.
Yeah. Faces are big. So if anyone's shy, we always say we understand that, but kind of have to get over it.
Yeah, people want to see you.
Yeah, especially because you're going to be going into people's homes, so they want to see your face. Let's see. Cass asks, when you use a brand, are you obligated to link them in your post?
No. So no, like Christine said earlier, if you're doing a review or you are being paid to talk about a brand, or you're given a free product, ethically and in some cases legally, you are required to mention that brand. But if you're just using your favorite products, you don't have to.
Mm-hmm. I would tag them.
Yeah, you can. It will probably benefit you, especially if they're a big brand.
Yeah.
A lot of brands will then reshare your content if you tag them.
Yeah. We tag Sherwin all the time. And Sherwin
very much appreciate it.
Yeah, and your team does a good job of engaging back, which
always feels good.
Will feel good if you get that from a big brand. So
shout out to Taylor and team. She's behind the scenes working the chat. So okay, so Jen asks, how do you feel about using Linktree?
I don't have that yet.
So this is another one of those things that's like very polar opposites in terms of opinions in the marketing world. And Christine, you probably hear this as well. A lot of people will say that it's best to just have one link, your one call to action. Your only link should be either your website or your booking link. The thing is, we've talked a little bit about human behavior. When you give someone, let's say you have a link tree and you have like 10 clickable things on that can create overwhelm on a subconscious level and cause a user to just X out of it and not click on anything. So if you do use a link tree, maybe use like 2, maybe 3 links on it, but it's not a necessary thing. I personally have never used it for the brands that I own and work with, but
Doesn't mean we might not.
it doesn't mean that I wouldn't. It's also not necessary anymore. Instagram and maybe other platforms have allowed it so that you can actually plug more than one link right into your profile without needing Linktree anymore.
Great feedback. Do you use hashtags? And if so, how many is too many?
Good question. So I would say hashtags, you used to be able to use 30 and it used to be great to use 30. Not so much anymore.
What do they say? 3 to 5 now.
Go for 3 to 5. Use hashtags that tell who you are, what the content is about, where you are, and then call it a day. Don't spend too much time thinking about hashtags.
You can also brand your own hashtag. Like,
Yeah.
I think we've done that a couple times.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice because then people can find you elsewhere, and then maybe you can get other companies to start using a hashtag as well. But
Yep. So we have about 9 minutes left, so we have more questions we're going to share. But real quick, whoever is still listening, maybe get your last minute questions in. We also just included in the chat a QR code to take a survey. So if you enjoyed the conversation, if you didn't enjoy the conversation, we want to hear from you. The whole reason why Sherwin-Williams does these Pro Plus training webinars is because we want to help pros grow. We want to bring information that's really easy to use and has to have really genuine conversations. So please scan the link in the chat and make sure to take the survey. Before I go back to the questions, really quick, Jordan, can you tell everyone, we know that you partner and work with Kassity through Ohio City Painting, but can you talk a little bit about your marketing company and any thing that you would be able to share with folks if they want to find you and ask you more questions afterwards?
Yeah, absolutely. Something Kassity and I really share is this passion for sharing our knowledge. And I have a special passion for teaching and educating. So I do that through social media coaching. And right now I am offering to the people on this call and some of the people in my other community as well, donation-based social media coaching. So if that's something you're interested in, you can directly message Ohio City Painting on Instagram, or you can find my actual marketing page is it's at I Am Social Media Pro. So I do my best to throw free tips on there every once in a while, but yeah, I spend most of my time in Ohio City Painting.
yeah, if you need to get a hold of Jordan, just go to Ohio City Painting DMs. I'm rarely in there.
Yeah, thanks,
I've
Christine.
learned that too.
Yeah.
Okay, a couple more questions before we wrap up. What's a good app for editing videos and pictures? Do you have any favorites?
Canva.
Yeah, Canva's great.
Canva's
And there's a free version too, right?
yes.
Yeah, I would go with
Canva.
Canva. If any of you have experience editing video, I recommend Final Cut, but if not, do not go with Final Cut.
It's complicated.
It's not user friendly. I would just recommend editing within the app of Instagram or TikTok. You don't really need a video editor. Maybe it would help you play around.
The apps usually have, a way to edit the way they want you to edit.
Yeah.
So honestly, that can help the algorithm too. If
Yeah.
I'm right on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Super Painting Co. asks, have you guys tried to use Yelp as a platform for advertisements?
We haven't.
We haven't, but we have been told that we should.
Perfect. I think, let's see, people are saying they've learned good information. Everything's great.
Okay.
So a couple things, just housekeeping before we wrap up. First of all, thank you so much, Jordan, Kassity. As small business owners, I know you are very busy and your time is your money. So thank you for sharing all of your knowledge with our community and just for being so gracious with your time. So thank you. Is there anything that either one of you wants to plug or share before we wrap up and I kind of close everything out? Oh, wait, real quick. We have one more question.
Yes.
What advice do you have about giving direction to the team to film content? That's from Ginger.
Ooh.
I'm assuming.
I'm sorry. What was...
That's a good question because we kind of made mistakes there. So the question is, what advice do you have to help to get help from your team in terms of filming?
Yeah.
You should probably start that.
Yeah, that's trial and error too, because not everybody's gonna have your vision, have your brand in mind. So I think being hands-on is actually kind of important at first. maybe saying, hey, can you take a video of me opening this can? You know what I mean? Things like that. I think be careful with just being like, yeah, film anything, post anything. I think having an eye on it before it gets posted is really important, before you just let, a new employee throw something out there on Instagram. So take caution, but also, experiment. And, I'm a small business, so it's a little bit easier for me. I've only had 1 or 2 employees. If you have a larger team, I'm not sure how to handle that.
I think you have to be really careful. I think there's things, I know there's like, you have to disclose if you work for a company and you're posting on their behalf. Again, maybe not for a small company, but a much bigger company like, like Sherwin-Williams, we definitely have to, have folks disclose that. We also have, social media guidelines for our employees when posting. So I would say if you really want to engage your employees, just make it very clear, like what is acceptable content, what is not, and just some rules around that. So I'm sure you could also just do some research and find a nice boilerplate that you can make your own as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that you all want to plug, that you want to share? Favorite Sherwin-Williams products?
Ooh, I am a huge Emerald fan. I love Emerald. Genuinely, it's all I use. No, so I think just with Ohio City Painting, it's kind of really exciting right now as we just finished our rebrand. You'll see our beautiful logo behind us. So new website and everything. We're going to have merch coming up soon. Very excited about that. And then also a training program. So I'm going to literally be creating a training program for paint companies, anyone to use, homeowners to use, my whole step process of how to paint beginning to end, the tools I use, the tips and tricks, everything. So look out for that. And then if you have anything with Alista Media.
Well, I just want to reiterate how passionate we are about sharing our knowledge. We're not gatekeepers.
No.
It's literally a part of our strategy.
Please reach out to us.
Yeah, if you have a question that you think about in 10 minutes or, and tomorrow, DM us. We'll do our best to answer. If we don't have the answer, we'll tell you.
If we don't have the answer, right now, a lot of times we'll create content to give you that answer.
Yeah.
So just a more logistical question. Jordan, you had said that you're offering donation-based social media coaching. If someone wants to do that, we've linked your Instagram in the chat for folks, but do they just mention this webinar and if they want to work with you? Okay, perfect.
Just say, just tell me, hey, I'm interested in your donation-based coaching. How it works is it's usually about a 45-minute long session. And we'll solve a problem that you have, or I'll kind of push you in the direction of really up-leveling your approach. I really kind of tune into what's present for you and what you need, and we'll work through that on the coaching call. So it's a really, it's a cool experience and working together.
Thank you.
I also want to let you know, I'm very grateful for all of the questions that you gave us. So thank you.
I know, super engaged audience. I'm going to repost. Someone asked to send the survey, the survey for today. I linked it in the chat. I guess the QR code wasn't working. It's another question, and I just lost it. We have 1 minute left. Can't find it now, but what I will say is this is our last webinar of the year. We're going to be back in February of next year with some really exciting guests. For all of you who are here today, we're going to have Nick Slavic as our first guest kicking off the season in 2024 in February. Nick is going to be sharing some industry trends for 2024 and the 3 to 5 things that he's going to be focusing on. So make sure you tune in for that. Follow us on social, work with your rep. Sherwin-Williams reps and our store managers are here for you. Fun fact, Kassity, you used to work at a Sherwin-Williams store, correct? You were a store manager?
Yes.
So, we're here to help. We want to see people be successful, and there are so many great tools available to pros through our Pro Plus program. If you're unsure what's available to you, just walk into any Sherwin-Williams store, call a rep if you have a rep assigned to you, and just start getting engaged. We're really excited to keep this momentum going with the webinars. And I believe we pinned also the social media guide that Jordan was sharing during the pre-recording, but if not, we'll post it in here one more time. And thank you, ladies, so much. And thank you, everyone, for your time. And we'll see you next year.